I wanted to ask you guys a question before we jump into some of this list. We'll skim through it. I was thinking about, different topics and whatnot. Not your scariest scene, but just one of the most effective scary scenes. And I think it's hard to explain that. It's just a scene, and I think it has a lot to do with my childhood. But even still, that's kind of a cop-out, because I think when you really look at this scene, I think it is one of the creepiest freaking scenes in all of horror. Still to this day. It is a scene from the 80s. You know what? Maybe should we watch it? Although, could we get in trouble if we watch it? I don't know. You know what? This is an unlisted stream anyway, right? We can watch whatever we want. It's live. So I'm going to pull up the scene and we're going to watch it together, okay? And I think, in my mind, this is probably one of the most effective, scary, not the scariest scene ever, but one of the most effective scary scenes, okay? There's a difference. So let me pull up the scene.
Hey, driver! Hey, driver, that was my stop. Driver, that was my stop. Driver, what's going on? Where are we going?
Scared as hell, and you don't feel like anything's being wasted. Sean says third best nightmare movie. You might be right. I think you are right, actually. Number one, you see, here's the way I am with the Nightmare franchise. Nightmare 1 doesn't automatically have to be the best movie for me. I know for some people that, Nightmare might be their favorite franchise, so it's almost like sacrilegious to not have the first one be number one. But don't get me wrong, I love the Nightmare franchise, but I kind of just look at each movie as its own entity. And there are some days where I feel like my favorite is Freddy's Revenge, because that movie is so different. There's just so many unique qualities about Freddy's Revenge that set it apart. I mean, and Freddy coming out of the dream world is, I think, more important in that movie than any other movie in the franchise, right? And, Jesse being the only male protagonist. And I think Mark Patton, I think he freaking mops the floor with Heather Langenkamp. And don't get me wrong, I love Heather Langenkamp. I love Nancy. But I'm talking like acting wise. Every actor they're given a certain amount of weight to handle, in their skill set. And I think he had a lot more to deliver. There's a lot more pressure on Mark Patton for that role than there was for Heather Langenkamp. Don't get me wrong, she still had to do some great stuff in that movie. But man, emotionally speaking, Mark Patton had to he had to leave a piece of himself on the floor by the end of that shoot, I think, And I think you can see that too, especially if you watch that documentary with him, and it really affected him for sure. I think he did a really great job. Sean says, I prefer Dream Warriors, but Freddy's Revenge does something different with the body horror stuff, which is what a good sequel does, something different. You are right. You're absolutely right, in my opinion, Sean. Brandon says, Dream Master is in my top 3. It's so much fun. Yeah, Dream Master is really fun. Dream Warrior. I've seen some people say that they prefer Dream Master over Dream Warriors. Not many, but I've heard a couple people say that. Hey, Brooke, how you doing? Rosemary says, the scene in Zodiac with the murders at the lake really scary. Oh my God, Rosemary, that is a perfect example, because it feels so real, right? I mean, like us horror fans, we can watch a violent scene in a horror movie, and for some reason we can separate reality from entertainment, I guess, right? There's just something about horror. Like when you watch Art the Clown do his thing, it's in real life, that would be the crazy, like it would be freaking on the news for weeks if shit like that really happened. But when you watch it in the movie and you got Art winking at you, you can take it. It's not that bad. But because Zodiac was a real case that, happened with real people, and that young couple, the boyfriend lived, and he was, he lived to tell the story about what he was, what was his mindset when it happened. And his girlfriend, I think they were going to get married and everything. And he had to watch his girlfriend get freaking stabbed to death in front of him. So, oh my God, I love Zodiac. Zodiac is one of my favorite freaking movies. It is so good. And there's a scene similar to that, Rosemary. Have you ever seen Lords of Chaos? Lords of Chaos came out, I think in like 2017 or something like that. And it's about the band Mayhem. And now if you talk to the black metal community, and I'm sure they're right, some crazy liberties were taken with that story. But what happened to the, I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy that died in real life, the last scene in that movie is how that all plays out. And man, it's brutal. It's difficult to watch. Rory Culkin plays the main character. And, watching him, it just, the way that scene was directed, it felt so real, So, Rosemary, it's a good movie too. It's a really good movie, but that last scene kind of sneaks up on you because it's about the rise and fall of a band. And then it just so happens that in this band's story, there was a tragic murder at the end of their story. So it's a good movie. It really is. But like I said, the black metal community, they don't like that movie. They're because the guy that did the murders, he's out of prison now. He served his time. He's out of prison. And there's a lot of people that don't really like the guy that got killed. I guess he wasn't the best guy in real life. But I'm just looking at it from an outside perspective, watching he didn't have a weapon to defend himself. And the way the murder played out, it's brutal. It is brutal. And it was one of those scenes, and this isn't even a horror movie, but it was one of the most horrific scenes I had ever seen in my life. I was just like, wow, I didn't expect that.